Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for coming in to listen. This is the Mania Club podcast. It is a lovely day out here today on a lovely Saturday. Of course, one of your hosts here, Munchie Panda.
Is this supposed to be my cue? Am I supposed to chime in here?
Oh, I got you. Don't worry. I can cover for you. And here, weighing in at an amount of pounds I don't know,
Just to
we
be very
have
careful there.
Thomas T Dog.
What's up? What's up? You can find me at Twitter at tdog912. How you doing this week, Munch?
Oh man. Besides being busy with life, wrestling is going crazy. I mean, besides the excitement and like Wrestlemania and everything, which of course we're gonna cover, a slew of just news. It feels like wrestling news is coming out every day. You know what I mean?
Wrestling has more than one source of news.
And it's not Meltzer. No. But for really though, like ever since, I mean, I don't want to say The Rock was the reason for this because there has been news coming out every day here and there of dirt sheets, rumors, whatever. But The Rock, when he said wrestling is cool again, like professional wrestling is cool again, I think now it's making somewhat of these headlines. You know, Forbes, I want to say Fox, CBS, like the typical ones, but ESPN is now talking about WrestleMania like it's casual and it's crazy. You know, it's bringing back people.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome time to be a wrestling fan. I feel like though to bear the sour one. I always feel like I hear that every year. I always feel like all the time I hear this is the peak time to be a wrestling fan. I've been hearing this since like 2017.
That's true. That's true. Especially when when a Mania card or a pay-per-view card or just when there's a group of wrestlers on the same roster, it's like this is a big time, a great time to be a fan. Like we have this wrestler, this wrestler, this wrestler on the same roster. Like great time to be a wrestling fan. And you're right. If you're a long-term fan, you know that it's practically every year. You know, it's been for a long time. Like wrestling's at its peak right now. It's like really, really. let's
2019, Bobby Lashley's sister. Yeah, this is peak. This is such good shit.
Great shit. But no, yeah, moving on here. We're just going to quickly discuss WrestleMania 40 as we've predicted before. A lot of different things, a lot of interesting things happen. We're just going to quickly run through them real quick.
Before, what are your thoughts on the show?
As a whole, I mean, I'll just say this right now. 2 nights is great, gives more time for the show instead of having a 7-8 hour WrestleFest type of thing. But I would say that WrestleMania was great. Altogether, it was nice. Both nights unified together.
I'm gonna go out on. I'm gonna say a very bold thing. I think that in terms of the emotional experience, this was the greatest WrestleMania I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I want to second that with WrestleMania 30. To Daniel Bryan's opening the match to closing the match. You know what I mean? Like that. That to me was a little more emotional than this. With all due respect to like.
No, I agree.
But because I think because we both knew the story was going to conclude Daniel Bryan. We both knew the story was going to conclude with Cody Rhodes. But yeah, no, you're right. Emotional, not even a roller coaster, somewhat a roller coaster, because as we'll get to the main event, of night one, that kind of left a sour taste in the mouth of fans, but they knew what to expect going into
from
night.
A match where a 53-year-old man who hadn't wrestled in over a full-length match in over 11 years carried the night one show.
No, and respectfully so, he proved the critics wrong. People were like, he's going to get gassed out. And do so. It was a tag team match, so you do have time to spare some oxygen for yourself. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, we'll get to that. Let's start from the top here. So, Rhea Ripley, defending Women's World Champion, defeated Becky Lynch. Clean as a whistle, nearly 20 minutes, opened the show. Rhea looked like a star. She took down another one of the horsewomen.
Came out to Motionless in White, which, God, I love that band.
And she's been a fan of them for a long time. So it's great to kind of see the homage that the band is paying to Rhea, and Rhea's paying back to the fan. Like, hey, play for me at WrestleMania because I've been a fan of you forever. It's great for Rhea. And hey, this is only a more dominant run, right?
This was a really good notch to add onto Rhea's belt. I could see Rhea holding this belt for a whole nother year, if I'm being 100% honest, because now over the last 2 defenses, it really feels like her reign of dominance has like really kicked off.
No, yeah. When it comes to Rhea, like you said, I wouldn't mind a second year. Give her 2, maybe 3 years because I could be wrong. Correct me. Was she in NXT UK?
Yep, she was in UK. I think she's the only woman to hold the NXT UK. I think she's held every main
Women's title, essentially.
women's title that they've offered. I think she's the only person to have won, I think, all of them. I don't know if she's won the NXT women's tag team titles, but I know that she's held almost every women's belt there is to hold. Excuse me.
Right. So, yeah, to my point, essentially, I mean, she could pull off a whole thing where the reason I mentioned UK is because I tracked back to Gunther or Walter at the time, and he had that long NXT reign, over 860 days, I believe, or so. And, they could do something like that with Rhea, make her that homegrown talent to show that she's all about brutality and being fierce and being a dominant champion in wrestling. I think, interestingly enough, I don't know, I think NXT UK
No,
breeds interesting champion.
it was good. It was a good match. Also, like I want to give Becky her flowers too. She did great too. Right? She put her over. She made Rhea look like a star. She looked like a really credible challenger, and
She
you know,
was. Becky Lynch, in my
I
opinion, was the John Cena in this situation, if that makes
can
sense.
we just unanimously agree that WWE needs to do away with the Snapchat filter graphics for their entrances?
Oh, I read a lot of reports and leaks actually earlier today that they're kind of panning down on that. I don't mind it every now and then, especially only for main events. How about, like, you know what I mean, like big time match vibes? Throw one out there, sure. But otherwise, I see what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to kind of just put it here and there for certain stars.
Like I think it was WrestleMania 39. It was when Roman came out, and you had that really weird like tree with all the Samoan veins with the different like bloodline faces fused into the tree. I'm just like, some of them work and some of them don't. Like Cody's works because it's just his logo and then it goes away.
So the
But like,
tree, I will not intercept the tree. In my opinion, was, I mean, it's from like in my thing from Naruto, like an anime. There's this tree, like a chakra tree or something that connects the vessels of life. I assumed that when I first saw that, I assumed that's where the idea came from initially, like the tree of their bloodline. The tree of their chakra, which is the energy in Naruto. So that's how I just want to divert that. That's most likely how how it could be.
no, it's a cool idea. I just think the
Some of it
execution
doesn't
of it is
work
just
though, right?
really poor. Yeah, it's like make it a Titantron. Okay, I don't need a giant Roman Reigns action figure doing the ooh ah every time he makes his entrance. You know?
No, yeah, that was. I mean, like I said, main events, big time matches. I think those would be appropriate. But then going forward, we got the ladder match here. A lot of teams here. There's DIY, New Catch, Awesome Truth, A Town Down Under, New Day, Damian Priest, and I'm not Damian Priest. Judgment Day with Damian Priest, Finn Balor. Could be missing a team. I don't know if I got them all, but yeah, Theory and Waller grabbed the SmackDown ones, but I think they just pushed a ladder off for New Catch and then grabbed them, and then I was like, whoa. The crowd was like booing, but mild pop, I was like, wow, okay. And then
I I would have loved for I like it was definitely supposed to be a crowning moment for Miz and Truth,
they
which
closed the match. That's why there was a louder pop.
yeah, they were great. I just like I feel bad because Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are phenomenal performers and they do so well. It just felt very underwhelming when they grabbed the belt.
Exactly. It was a shock
Like
value.
it's not
A
it's
shock value.
it was like the wrong kind of shock. It was not like a oh my god. It was like a oh okay, you know.
You're in a pause. You're just like, wait, what? No, I mean, I see what you're coming from, but let's be real. That was like when you saw them knock down, the other two face teams grabbing the ladders. You saw them climb. You're like, no way, nah, someone's gonna run in. But then you see Waller unhook it. Once I saw him grab it, my mind thought, okay, well, technically the match isn't over, so they can spare one of the belts for now to save a reaction. And they got that reaction. Don't get us wrong with that idea. They got Awesome Truth, but I liked it. I don't know. Something about them just getting that, the reaction, everything seemed interesting. So good to know. Good to see how that goes going forward with defending the titles, though. Then we had the kind of the sleeper match, Rey Mysterio and Andrade. They defeated Santos and Dom. Two football players. I think one of them was last name Kelsey. I can't remember if he's like Jason Kelsey, but they interfered, stopped Dom from getting a chair. 1, 2, 3 by Ray. Nah.
All right. And
And
it was much better than another match we're gonna get to later on down the card. But I
that,
thought it was a very good pre-show match.
thank you. Yeah, it wasn't bad. All talented wrestlers.
I think what people were looking at like it was a match to give a legend and like a bunch of like it was basically it gave them all something to do, like Andrade is reestablishing himself as the top tier guy, he's great. You got Ray and Dom's thing. Santos is an up and coming heel. I think he's going to be really good in the next few years. Like it was a match to present those guys, and I think
And he
that
had
was
a story. Santos had a story with Ray going back to Crown Jewel, to be fair.
yeah, yeah, and it was like that match should have been a singles match to be fair, but I understand like Ray's still coming off an injury, and like they have they're figuring out a way to weave Dominic in. Like Dominic is still not done with Ray, and it gave Andrade something to do, and I'm all for that. But yeah,
And,
I thought it was a fun match.
and the
That's
next
all.
one, Jay Uso versus Jimmy Uso, where Jay won.
The potential that this match had.
Brother versus brother, man. It was like,
Brother versus brother,
the
me
ball was on
versus
the
me,
tee. The ball was
yeet
up there.
yeet versus no yeet, Uso versus Uso, disappointment. like I like there's a saying that like just because you're have amazing chemistry as tag team partners does not like that. My biggest worry going into this match was like their movesets are too similar, other than the fact that Jay has a spear.
Yep.
That's the only difference between the two. And it's like I was hoping they were gonna make it a street fight, like a tribal combat match. I feel like that would have been better because then at least they could have mixed up the offense with some tables or some chairs or kendo sticks or something, or you could have like, Jimmy trying to choke out Jay with the lay, like.
And the thing is, to add to that, the tribal combat, that would raise the stakes higher because at this point, Jimmy's defending the honor of the bloodline. He has to win. It would have given him more, not credibility, but it would have given more reason to win. Besides proving that the big brother's always right, sure. No, deeper. They could have made it much deeper than that. Not the tribal chief per se, but the tribal combat, and it's to defend the honor of the bloodline. And if
Also,
yeah.
Jimmy deserved this win so much more than Jay did.
I want to say yes, and here's why. You got Matt Hardy who beat Jeff back at Mania 25 when they fought, and I'm not saying and Owen Hart, he beat Bret Hart too, in the situation. So the heel brother typically won, which I see what you're saying. This was Jay trying to close a chapter in a book, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think
I get it. I get it. But like Jay had less to gain from winning than Jimmy would have.
But
like Jay's already the number one merch seller. He's already been in world title matches. He's already he's best for, he's friends with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, like he's arguably like one of the top 3 baby faces on his show. Like Jimmy, when the bloodline disbanded, he didn't even get the pinfall on Roman, like in the tag match. And he's just had so much, like, I don't know. I feel like Jimmy deserved it more. I get why in the context, especially watching Raw, like why they didn't do that. But
yeah, we'll get to that Raw thing in a minute because, yeah, as you say, we'll say this right now. Jay did have to get the win just based off what happened on Raw going forward, and credibility build up. That's why. Because here's the thing: Jay is more of a world title contender than Jimmy. You know what I mean? And with that in mind, you want to build Jay up more and more. And this is something because this is something that's going to only build Jay up. He's closed a chapter on his brother. He's conquered some demons. Obviously, he still has other demons to take care of, like Solo and them. But Jimmy was the one of the brothers he had to close a book on, and WWE did a good job on that.
No, they did great. Like for what they were trying to do, I get it. But it's just,
Yeah. And then the next match, we had I don't want to say boring match, but we knew the result of it kind of. It was Jade Cargill, Bianca, and Naomi defeating, Damage Control of Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Standard match, less than 10 minutes. I watched it, nothing bad. Jade Cargill's debut. Well, not debut, but you get what I'm saying. Like, in terms of like a Mania moment match type thing. It was her debut on a big stage. And yeah, she killed it. She squashed it, and her attire is awesome. Her moves are stand. I'm not saying she's anything special, but she's more of an attraction
Her
wrestler.
presentation is spot on.
Exactly. She can do. I'm not saying she's green in any way at all. I'm not saying that, but she doesn't need to do these crazy ass theatrics or moves to kind of get the crowd. She's a powerhouse woman, and hey, the sky's the limit at this point for her to keep going.
Precisely.
And RIP to the tag champions. I mean, they just lost, so there's that. But anyway, moving on. Sami Zayn defeating Gunther. IC championship.
Ever leapt out of my seat faster than I did when Gunther.
I think I don't know if I called you or I contacted you right away, but I was freaking out. Also, I was like, "Yo,
there were a few beers deep for everybody involved. We were watching it, but it was just like I was not expecting. I mean, like watching it, like because in the moment you're just like, "Oh my god, that's such a shock!" But when you watch it back and you see that like they were doing the whole like underdog Zayn mounting the comeback, and then he Haluva kicked Gunther 3 times and hit a gnarly brainbuster off the top rope onto the turnbuckle.
I thought that was a botch. I thought because I've never seen that move done, so it seemed like a botch to me. Where it's like, because I've seen it done off the top rope onto the mat, but not onto the turnbuckle.
Yeah, that was an El Generico finisher. That was something he used to do when he was El Generico.
My dream match is going to be El Generico versus Sami Zayn one day. I got to see that.
Oh my god, top tier. I want to see Kevin Steen and El Generico versus Sami and KO. It's just my.
Oh, dude, you're giving us WrestleMania main event vibes with that.
No, I know. But yeah, no, I think Sammy was gonna. Sammy, I said it before on a previous podcast that we did. The biggest thing going into this, like everybody's been taken away from this match, is that it should have been Gable.
It should have. I still think that it should have.
It should have been, but Sammy has more. The Sammy carrying the belt is a lot safer than Chad Gable.
Because you can expect Sammy to hold it for a good period.
Sammy long term, you can think of things long term they can do with Sammy while keeping his reign and the belt and him exciting. I think Chad Gable, it's a lot of that story of like the journey is better than the destination. Whereas when he gets that belt, like he's gonna have good matches, but I don't see him having, Can
I add to this? Also, I do want to say, I think if Gable went into the match against Gunther at Mania, everyone would have known Gable was going to win. And I think it's because the WWE's not going to book Gable a third time to face Gunther, only to not win on the biggest stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After a gauntlet also. So Sami Zayn going in there, though, you would think that Gunther is the top name to beat. You would think that's all it is, just someone to put down, basically, you know what I mean? Because he's beaten Kevin Owens, and now he's beaten Sami Zayn on the biggest stage. He can keep going with IC, right? But Sami Zayn beating him, of all people, was surprising.
No, I was shocked. I was baffled.
And then moving on from that shock value, though, the main event with Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, in which the Bloodline secured a W.
Far better than I thought it was going to be.
45 minutes.
But how much is that start to finish with the match, or is that bell to bell, or is that with the entrance?
Yeah, I'm on Wikipedia. It is showing the times based on the bell to bell. These are bell to bells. So yeah.
Wow.
Like for example, the Sami Zayn one went 15 minutes and 30 seconds. So yeah, bell to bell. I thought it was like 50 minutes. It almost felt like an hour, but with entrances, it was an hour. But regardless,
there's more. So I think this match was better than the night 2 main event on like a wrestling standpoint. I think all 4 of their styles worked so well together. The Cody eating the pin was the right choice.
Sets up future storytelling.
And it really cracked down on the hard times, because it wouldn't have felt like going into like him eating the pin really made me believe, like really made me believe, like, oh shit, like he could lose tomorrow. Like it was like that's like what they were setting up. Like obviously, I knew he most likely wasn't going to lose,
2 years
but
in a
like if they won that night, then I would have been like, yeah, man's eating a pinfall, clean as a whistle on tomorrow night.
the riot.
The riot, but no, it's good. It also like credit to The Rock. Credit to The Rock has been carrying he and Cody have been carrying this feud for the last 2-3 months, but The
slap.
Rock.
It was the slap that started it all.
The Rock carried the emotional energy in this, the emotional and just the energy in this match.
Oh yeah,
Down to him selling the spear better than most people on the main roster do. But no, like I think it was good. My biggest worry for this match was, I mean, obviously how The Rock was going to wrestle, but it was also like how bad is this going to make Seth look? Because Seth has been the one person that really has nothing to gain from being in this match. Which, I mean, as we later on saw, like, it makes sense why he was involved in this match. But, you know, I was really worried that, you know, like, he was going to be the one to eat the pin. And, you know, because, like, the big consensus has been that he seemed very desperate and very, hey, pick me, of what he's been doing with the World Heavyweight title. And, you know, he did, you know, I think he played his role in this match perfectly. Roman did as well, you know. Yeah, I thought it was a great meet. I thought it was a great night one closer. I think the match technically was better than the second night, but we'll get into the second night.
I want to say that it wasn't the best main event ever, but it was definitely top 3 for me. I mean, just because of the excitement, the value. I think for me, it was intriguing to just see Seth Rollins and The Rock go at it more so because they're compared to Roman, Cody, and Seth, we've seen those 3 tango before. But this is The Rock and Seth Rollins. You're just like, oh, okay. Got a little taste for it. I loved how The Rock was abusing his power, telling the ref not to count him out, hitting a low blow right in front of the referee. You know, that's that good thing about carrying your character from the real world into the sports entertainment world. You're able to actually utilize that. That's what Vince McMahon did. Oops, I said something bad. Sorry. But that's something that the character, Vince McMahon utilized, as a manager, a heel. He would put things in the favor of the heels or himself to dominate and beat the faces, So I loved it. I loved it a lot. Rock is definitely showing that heel aggression that we needed to see ever since Hollywood Rock left. Going to night 2 of WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre defeated Seth in about 10 minutes. Quick match. Opener, World Heavyweight Championship.
I thought they were going to squash him. Really? I thought legitimately they were going to squash Seth in the opening bell. I thought they were going to pull a Daniel Bryan. I'm glad they didn't. It felt like very much like a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying with the suplexes and the F5s.
Well, it was like, it followed that formula of like finisher right off the bat, and then a lot of outside offense, and then as soon as they went inside, then there was finishers exchanged here and there, and then it resulted in the match. Seth screaming like, "You're gonna have to kill me" and stuff, and then Claymore, and then him crying saying he deserved it.
Drew tweeting, bored at work, LOL, just during the match was funny as hell. That was my favorite. I love that.
Drew is the greatest heel in professional wrestling.
And then, and Punk on commentary, bro, Punk was just burying Drew in the most funniest ways and respectful way possible.
I could see their feud main eventing SummerSlam.
That would be a solid feud, actually. I'd like that.
I think they've been building like this feud has been building since the Rumble. We're gonna get some Daniel Bryan return of where Punk's gonna be on TV every week, and then one day he's gonna just finally be like, by the way, SummerSlam is next week.
They don't need a title. That's the best part.
No, they don't need a title. But, I mean, if Drew gets the title back, then yeah, but
then. Yeah, after Drew won, Seth Rollins obviously emotional, telling him he deserves it. Drew gets in Punk's face, stands at the table bragging, and then Punk just knocks his leg over, takes off his brace and bashes Drew in the face with it, and then blows a kiss to his wife, and Judgment Day's music hits, and Damian Priest smashes Drew in the face with a briefcase, throws him in the ring. Huge and clean South of Heaven. 1, 2, 3. New World Heavyweight Champion. Loved it.
They make I'm very excited to see where Priest goes with the belt.
Yeah, no, I mean, see where he goes from here now. He's definitely going to have the support of Judgment Day, so we could see a Bloodline 2.0 happening. Yeah, see how Priest's run goes at this point, but he definitely deserves it. The next thing we had was interesting. A Philadelphia street fight with Bubba Ray Dudley as a special referee. It was the Pride, Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford versus, Cross, Akam, and Razor, the Final Testament in a street fight. And, the Pride won. Fun match. Nothing too crazy, right?
No, it was fun. It was a fun match, similar to what we said with the Santos and, with the, LWO versus Santos and Dom match. It was fun. It gave everybody something to do. This feud's been going on since the Rumble, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
I think Cross deserved to win more. Like, Cross had more to gain from winning, more so than Jimmy did. But Cross's presentation is still pretty solid, so it's not like it's going to be all that hard for him to maintain credibility.
Yeah, it's Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross is going to be a really good Karrion Kross's gimmick. He doesn't need a championship for the gimmick. No,
yeah, he has. Yeah, he's just he's that spooky figure in wrestling.
Yeah, and it's good. He does a really good job. A lot of people rag on Karrion Kross. I think he's pretty decent. I think he's good at what he does. I don't think he's mind blowing, but I also think he excels at what he tries to do.
I like that.
But he also is I don't know if you've seen this. He's I think he's got he's a black belt, an actual black belt.
They gotta utilize him correctly.
I don't know if it's jiu-jitsu or what it is, but he's a professional fighter.
That's probably why he has the choke on, as his finisher. Moving forward, LA Knight defeating AJ Styles in a clean 1-on-1 match. Pretty decent.
Yeah. Two of TNA's best performers that, found more success in other places. I was very excited from this match. This was going to be, I think this was my top 3, just because AJ Styles has never had a bad match.
I expected a kick out after the BFT.
I mean, they're trying to build the credibility for the finisher. But I think it was a good feud. It was a very traditional WWE feuded match.
No, straightforward. I loved how Styles just quickly ran straight to him. Didn't give time for the music to settle in. Just ran straight to the ring.
It was a very fun. It reminded me a lot of the Ruthless Aggression era.
Exactly, just a straight brawl and
just their feud and their match. I thought it was great.
Exactly, great match. Then the next match, Logan Paul, United States champion, defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. He retained it. I liked this match a lot. It was fun because the beginning part where Kevin Owens and Orton are kind of teaming up on Logan Paul, and then they go for a pinfall, but then Owens is like, "Really? Is this how it's gonna have to go down?" And then they're like, "Let's beat him up some more," and they do. Then the highlight was when Orton's going for the punt kick, and then the Prime Bottle pulls Logan out, and it's I Show Speed. I don't know if you know him, but popular Twitch streamer, very popular. And Randy kicks him just super far with one kick, then RKO's him on the table. I don't know. It was a great all over match, if that makes sense. Everyone got to highlight themselves. The pop-up powerbomb RKO was lit.
Oh yeah.
That was probably my favorite move of the night. Not night, but in that match.
I want to see Logan Paul with Money in the Bank.
The heat that'll get.
Logan Paul has the potential to be I'm like he's doing a very similar thing that Rhea's doing or did last year, where Rhea wasn't really having matches all that often, but because of her presentation and how she was on TV, like you never really noticed it. Like Logan has had 4 matches, I think, since winning the belt at Crown Jewel, and he's only defended the belt one other time.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble.
But he's still like he's on TV every week.
It's weird. He's like that champion that basically never defends it. He just has the belt.
But I would love to see him with Money in the Bank. Him just like using it as a carry on and posting about it on Instagram.
That would, the celebrity status behind a celebrity carrying a Money in the Bank briefcase will actually be interesting.
No, I think the match served its purpose. I assumed like as time got closer, I knew Logan was going to retain, just because just from what they're doing with him, and they're obviously setting up him having a big showing at SummerSlam in Cleveland.
No, yeah, that's gonna. You think he's gonna main event?
I don't think he'll main event. I think he'll have. I could see him losing the U.S. title there. But,
that's gonna be interesting.
But, like I would love to see him and like the Miz run it back. I mean, it all depends on where people end up with the draft, because the draft is coming back at the end of the month.
Yeah, I don't think the draft is gonna matter to people like Logan or, on Raw or SmackDown mainly. Well, he is U.S. champion, but we'll see. It depends what the champion gets drafted to, right? Because that title belongs to that brand at that point.
True.
So there's that. But the next match it was cool for the story, but not in my opinion. It was Bayley defeating Io Sky for the championship. Match was what it was. Wasn't a highlight for me, but it was a good match.
Yeah, this was like the ending. The match was pretty good. I mean, it's kind of hard not to put two people like Bayley and Io in a ring and for it to not be great. Bayley got her moment.
They all delivered.
I'd love to see it. They all delivered, and
now to go forward.
Also, I want to backtrack a little bit. Poor Asuka. Asuka has never gotten, I think, a singles win at WrestleMania ever. I think this year she's 0-6.
That's so weird to think about too. Moving forward, the main event, Bloodline Rules. Cody Rhodes defeated Roman Reigns, pinfall. But the amount of run-ins in this match made it more exciting than the finish, in my opinion.
Oh my god, it was like
it was emotional.
I watched night 1 with my friends who are wrestling fans, and then I watched night 2 with my girlfriend who's never watched pro wrestling. She's so detached from pro wrestling that she didn't know that The Rock was a wrestler. She didn't know that The Rock got his name from being a pro wrestler. So she's asking all these things. She's like, "Who's that?" And I said, "Okay, this is why we like this guy." Okay, who's that? I said, he's held the belt for, over 1,300 days, and he barely shows up with it, and his family runs the entire company, and this is why we like Cody Rhodes. This is why we hate Roman Reigns. And she's watching. I'm explaining it to her, and I'm like pointing out these little details, and she's like, "Oh, why'd this guy run out?" I think it was Jimmy. I said, "Oh, that's his cousin who's helped him cheat the entire time." And then Jay runs out. She's like, "Who's that?" I said, "Oh, that's Jimmy's." I said, "That's Roman's other cousin. That's Jimmy's twin brother who rebelled and realized his wrongs. And he and Jimmy had a match the night before, and he won, and he's taking him out." And then Solo came out, and she's like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Jimmy and Jay's younger brother, Solo. He's like Roman's right-hand man." And then John Cena came out, and then she was like, she's like, "Why is John Cena here?" I said, "Oh, because John Cena has had beef with Roman Reigns and his family for a few years now, and he lost to Solo like a few months ago." And then Seth came out, and then I jumped out of my seat because I think everybody universally thought for a split second that we were going to get both Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins back.
Yeah.
For that entrance, and then they teamed together. So Seth makes his entrance down to the ring, and I'm jumping, screaming, watching this match, and she's like, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "This guy," I said, "he has history with Roman. They've been like on and off frenemies for the last 10 years, but he ultimately betrayed Roman 10 years ago, and Roman's never forgave him but he's been siding with Cody this entire time. So after I get my explanation done there, he eats the Superman punch. And then The Rock comes. I think The Rock came out before then. I was explaining who The Rock was. And then so Seth eats the Superman punch, and then the lights go out. And then The Undertaker shows up. And at this point, like my girlfriend is just like, who's this now? And I'm just like, I can't
You can't.
explain.
You can't
I can't
explain the
explain why he's
Undertaker.
here. I said I can't explain why this guy who spent 30 years playing a zombie shows up dressed in a bandana and a motorcycle hoodie and chokeslam the biggest movie star of all time. Like I can't explain why that makes sense to someone like us, and I love that it doesn't make sense.
No, the Undertaker's the ghost of WrestleMania. He's the real final boss.
I love the match. I think like the match itself, I think gets overlooked a lot, especially in recent conversation. Like Cody going for the Cody cutter, and then Roman catching him in like the suplex position, then hitting his own crossroads. That was smooth as hell.
I love that. That was
Like
great.
that
And he just
spot was
smiles and
great.
says, I just wanted to do that.
It was a dumb move, stupid move. It doesn't even work. You know.
Sound like a little kid.
But yeah, Cody having the whole speech after the match and being our new undisputed WWE champion. WWE champion, not Universal. Our
That's great.
undisputed WWE champion.
So no more
What a moment.
Universal.
No more Universal. Well, I saw there's something that was reported a couple days ago. Apparently, on the WWE website, it recognizes Cody Rhodes as a two-time world champion because he has both a Universal and a WWE title reign.
So he's been one day Universal champion then?
Yeah, so as of this moment, I think he's held the Universal title for 6 days and the WWE title for 6 days.
Oh, so they're still counting the Universal title reign.
Yeah, so they kind of have to because,
Yeah.
Roman, because that's where Roman's reign came from. You can't say that Roman's been WWE champion for X amount of days.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Wow. Well, technically, he was WWE champion for 2 years. Remember? Because he had the WWE
Yeah,
championship 2 years ago from Lesnar. So, yeah.
but the match, like I said, the match was great. WrestleMania was great. I think night 2 shat all over night 1, personally. Quality wise, I mean, night 1 felt very much like a pregame to night 2.
Well, see, no, here's the thing. Devil's advocate here. I feel like everyone's saying night 2 shat over night 1 because Cody won. But then when last year you look at it, Cody lost in night 2, so apparently night 1 was better than night
Oh,
2.
see, I think it has nothing to do with Cody. I think it's just a large reason why is the crowd was not as involved in the first night.
True.
Like, besides the main event, the crowd, and besides Sammy winning in the crowd in the tag match, like, they weren't really that involved in the, like, and from what I've heard, I guess it was like 50, like 40, 50 degrees over there at the stadium that night, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that jumping and cheery if I was freezing in my seat outside for 4 or 5 hours. But that's just my opinion. Crowds go a long way.
They make the atmosphere feel legit. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, I think WrestleMania, this is the greatest emotional roller coaster of a WrestleMania I think I've ever seen.
I liked it. It was great. It had all the emotions locked in. Almost every match had a good story going forward.
Yeah, no, like there wasn't one match where I was like, this feels out of place.
To be fair, yeah, there have been stuff that's been brewing for months, dare I say years, you know?
But yeah, so that's one. So this was, I think that, they broke a lot of records this weekend. I'm going to segue pretty smoothly. Another record was broken this past week.
Yeet.
CM Punk has become the first man ever to be on WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, and AEW Dynamite in the span of 1 week. Rick Rude could never.
Oh my god! Some people are saying MJF could pull that off.
Maybe. I don't
Hey,
know.
yeah, you never know.
So let's talk about the brawl out, or not the brawl in footage. Um, I'm gonna start because I'm the indie mark of the two of us.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I have been a devil's advocate for AEW over the past two. Like I think the argument for the dip in quality really came around November last year, right around the time Edge showed up. I would say is when things started to dip in quality.
That says
I
something about
think
Edge.
I've been very supportive, and I've been trying to find the silver linings with AEW purely because my boy Kenny. I've been a Kenny Omega stan since I was before I could drive legally. I just like I've wanted to see a wrestler that I've admired so much see his creation live to its fullest potential. And after witnessing the most poor execution of a PR tactic I've ever seen in a pro wrestling show since I've been watching, I've lost so much respect for AEW. And it's very heartbreaking to say because I love AEW. I've loved AEW for so long, and I think it's, like they offered something completely different. This really went to show that they are not like I like I would have understood it if what was said with Punk, what Punk said on the so for those of you who don't know, CM Punk went on the MMA Hour and he broke down the full Jack Perry situation of what happened in a very civil and respectful manner. Owned up and fessed up to everything that he did in his role and what happened, what transpired. AEW responds with, "We're going to air the footage via a segment with the EVPs, FKA, the Young Bucks." And they present this footage. Now, I think like you, we've talked about this. I would not have been upset if they presented this footage and they leaned into the whole like the corporate elite thing by trying to get heat that way. I think doing that would have been smart. Still there?
I'm here. I'm listening. I
Yeah,
didn't want
I was gonna say. I think
to. No, you're
them leaning into the whole like, oh, we have the number one star in Japan, and then we're bringing back Jack Perry. Like the guy who ran the biggest cancer out of here. Because they've been really hyping up this whole like locker room cancer and stuff like this, even with the Sting feud. Like they've really been trying to rev this story up, and for them to go, this is why we were lost to FTR at All In, and then show footage that really has nothing to do with what they're trying to establish, and then to go, yeah, we were dealing with this before our match. That's why we're showing you this. It was very clear that they cared more about being petty than being the bigger person or the bigger company. And just the whole making Will Ospreay take shots at Triple H and just all this other stuff. It's not like you're not signing up to be the alternative. You're signing yourself up to be in the loser bracket with that attitude, as Roman Reigns would say.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, essentially. I mean, I will say the only time, this is my personal opinion, that CCTV footage, like for a wrestling angle, because this was used for a wrestling angle, let's be real, it was used for an angle. It should show, it should be used for mystery attackers specifically. Look back at, who attacked HBK. It was Triple H. They used security camera footage. Mystery attackers who ran over Roman Reigns or who attacked not ran him over but attacked him or something like that a few years ago. It's just one of those things where this did nothing. They're like, oh, we got distracted because one of FTR's boys was doing something in the background, and then you knew that was a distraction for us, and you had the balls to shake our hand. That's why we didn't shake your hands because your friend caused a distraction. Like, what?
It's such a
No,
fucking stupid. Pardon my French. It's such a stupid. Like it was. Like I'm not. I don't want to defend the Bucks. I don't. I used to love the Bucks.
you
I don't love
can't.
the Bucks. I don't think. But like, it's very clear that this had nothing to do. Like I like take this with what you will. The man's reliability has clearly been, you know, take everything you hear on the internet with a grain of salt, kids. But rumors are that Tony Khan was the one that forced this, that really pushed for this to be aired and pushed out.
What a kid.
And it's very clear that if you watch it personally, if you watch it, when I watched it, it was very clear that the Bucks were trying to play it off in a way that made sense, and they couldn't. And there are the reports that Tony really pushed this through and demanded that it be shown. Same with the line about Triple H, sleeping his way to the top. It's just it's heartbreaking because you see this company that's been that really was focused on the sports side of the sports entertainment, and now they're just
They're immature.
they're doing
They're
this
not
shit.
acting like
They're doing
adults.
this. They're AEW is that cool guy in high school that you always looked up to, and you were like, oh, he's everything I aspire to be. But then you go to college, and then you come back, and then you graduate, and then you see that same guy sitting at his hometown bar bragging about how he used to be a quarterback in high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's what AEW is. AEW is the quarterback that never left his hometown. And you have all of these people who are just you have so many talented people who work for this company who go there because they hit a certain glass, they hit a certain peak in WWE or New Japan or any other company, and they wanted a fresh start somewhere else, and they had a place to showcase, and they signed years of their life to a company that's out here taking pot shots at business executives and other past employees in front of thousands, millions of people.
Yep.
You know,
Well, millions.
talk about Instagram here.
Oh yeah.
um, like for the, it was completely unnecessary. I'll get your take on it. I've rambled long enough.
No, I think we both hit on the nail on the head. We don't need to really spend much time on it because there's not much to divulge here. Punk told the truth. He said what he said. It happened on the footage. It's just, I was just laughing, just looking at Joe and Hook in the background. And then when the fight's going on, Joe rushes in to stop it. But then you see Hook just kind of slowly dropping his title and walking over to kind of pull back Jungle Boy's like, yo, chill out. I think in that moment, Hook realized, I gotta go look somewhere else.
He's I truly believe the footage was aired because whoever saw the interview didn't want wanted Punk to be held accountable, even though Punk already took accountability. Because Punk took accountability, but it wasn't on AEW's terms; it was on his. And I think that's why they were so adamant on the footage being aired.
This is all funny all around. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see. But I, when Meltzer's shitting on you, Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, you all fucked up. This is terrible. It's not irrecoverable, but you can see Tony Schiavone's face. He's like, what the hell? Finger poke of doom moment 101. All right. And then Thomas, of course, did you peep the Raw after Mania?
That was a really aggressive transition.
How aggressive can I make it more?
Yeah, I watched the Raw after Mania.
But
I followed it. It was exciting. My boy Ilya Dragunov on the main roster.
That's exciting. I mean, I feel bad for Shinsuke, but that's exciting.
Yeah, but poor Shinsuke.
Um, the real highlights, though, essentially, I mean, just a quick rundown because there was a lot, but we don't have to divulge too much. It was The Rock and Cody. I mean, they shook hands. That was it. Kind of a teaser.
What do you think he passed off to him? What do you think he handed him?
You know, I think he passed him. Get this. This is going to be like, ooh.
Is it
I
is
think
it
he passed him one of Roman's beads from this necklace, that Samoan necklace he wears, the red thing, the lei.
that? I actually didn't think of that. That could have been cool.
Because if he gives him one of the beads, I think The Rock is symbolizing that he's now running the bloodline. You know, he's now in charge. You don't have to worry about Roman. But that could have been a hint. You know what I mean? Like if Rock's running the bloodline, The Rock was the last man to pin Cody. Pfft, shit. But that's a foreshadowing, I think, going forward. What about you? What do you think he put in there?
Um, Black Adam tickets. No, I don't know. I mean, it very well. Yeah, the bead sounds like a cool option. I heard some people speculate that like they were gonna try to make the watch like an angle, like maybe hand him the watch. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a very interesting thing to see going down the line.
The reason
Excited
I
for the Rock to
say,
come back. I'm excited for the Rock to come back in some way, in shape, or form because it's very clear he's not done.
oh hell no, yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say, like, I think because kind of peeping into SmackDown a little bit here, that just happened, for us where we're recording this last night on Friday. Basically, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare logo was on where the Bloodlines locker room used to be. And so, with the bead theory, that's why I think he passed him off one of the beads to symbolize The Rock is running the bloodline. And at the same time, The Rock is gonna, you take that locker room, it's yours now. You know what I mean? Like we as the bloodline are gonna operate differently. But aside from SmackDown, as we'll divulge that later, Chad, I was about to call him Chazzy. I don't know why. Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn is set for next week, or in our case, 2 days from now in Montreal, alongside a Sheamus promo. So with that in mind, do you think Sheamus is going to interfere in that match? Do you think Chad's going to win? Sammy, no contest.
I
It's
can
for
see
the
Sam.
IC title.
I could see. I mean, I feel like we're gonna see Sammy win. They're not. I mean, I don't want to say anything because I've been wrong about predicting everything Intercontinental Championship related for the last like year. But I feel like they're not gonna have Sammy come off this dominant win over Gunther to lose it on a Raw 2 weeks after to Chad Gable.
Well, I mean, Rollins lost the title to Ziggler back in 2018, about 2 weeks after he won it at Mania.
No, he lost it to Ziggler. It was like 2 or 3 months after the fact. It wasn't like 2 weeks.
I thought it was in April.
No, he lost it in May or June. He lost it. He defended it. I think he won it at Mania. He defended it at Greatest Royal Rumble,
Oh yeah,
Backlash,
okay.
and then he defended it against Elias at Money in the Bank, and then Ziggler, and he lost it.
Okay, okay. Yep, thank you for reminding me about that. Wow. I might have forgotten that. But regardless, going forward, yeah, the IC title, I mean, you're right. He's probably not going to drop it right away. Could just be a case of Sheamus. Like I said, I mean, with Sheamus' promo, the timing of it, I think he's probably going to lay them both out. But it wouldn't make sense unless they do a triple threat, or if Sheamus is Sammy's new challenger.
I think Sammy versus Sheamus would be great.
Definitely going to give. I mean, the thing is, it's going to be interesting to put the title on Sheamus that way, because now Sheamus doesn't have to beat Gunther for the title, but he hasn't beaten him before.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a bigger story down the road for sure. But this part of this, the main event, Jey Uso versus Ricochet versus Bronson Reed versus Drew McIntyre Winner faces Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash. Drew McIntyre, man. First off, we can eliminate Ricochet and Bronson Reed. Ain't no way they were going to get a world title match. But Drew McIntyre, he had the Claymore for the W. He had it ready. And CM Punk pulled his leg, cost him the victory because Jay hit the spear and the splash and won. So Jay's facing Damian Priest, but CM Punk, do you think Drew and Punk are going to fight at Backlash?
No, I don't think Punk still got a little bit, I think.
That's going to be weird, though. How are they going to run at a hard angle like that and keep us eating for a few weeks, you know? Like, they're going to have to make us wait. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. I think that Drew's going to have to cut a promo using that AEW footage, though, and call out Punk. Like, just use that as fuel for a promo. But last part we're going to cover here real quick before we wrap things up. Yeah, just SmackDown was lit. Tama Tonga and did I say that right? Tama Tonga?
Tama Tonga. And Solo, basically, they kicked Jimmy out of the bloodline. I say that with a question mark because there was consequences for losing, so it could have just been a beatdown. But then Paul Heyman's basically kidnapped by them, held hostage, taking care of them, essentially. You know what
Roman is nowhere to be found.
Do you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of what's the bird's name from the Lion King? It's not Zazu.
It is Zazu.
Is it Zazu?
Yeah,
it reminds me of when Scar kills Mufasa, and then he keeps Zazu in the bone cage in his cave.
That's basically what Paul Heyman is. Yeah. Oh. And Roman Reigns is Simba.
Yeah.
And then Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are Timon and Pumbaa.
Bro.
Okay, but no, it's good to see the family coming in. Of course, Jacob Fatu reportedly signed, so that's going to be very crazy. We might have an OG versus new bloodline 3-on-3 type thing going forward. But yeah, AJ Styles defeated Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens, and then LA Knight defeated Lashley and Santos in a triple threat. So now LA Knight and Styles are going to have a WrestleMania rematch. Winner is going to face Cody at Backlash. I'm calling it now, as you said before, you said it again. Styles is going to win, get that W overnight. And you said it before many times, personal talks. Styles is a good first opponent for a champion. You know what I mean?
Great, because he can have he can set the tone for what Cody's reign is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. What's going to look like.
And they both, Cody and AJ, they've all competed. They both, Cody and AJ have competed in the exact same companies on the indies. They both were ROH. They both were New Japan. They both were in TNA, Cody only hit that, they're probably going to factor in that Cody hit the indies right when AJ left them,
And, then that's going to, maybe Styles is going to say something along the lines of Cody, you left this company just as I was entering it because you knew you couldn't deal with the phenomenal one, that kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you come back and all of a sudden you think you're hot shit. I like that. This is going to be good for Styles too. But
it'll be a really solid main event for Backlash.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great title match, I'm sure. They're both very talented. See how it goes. I mean, imagine a heel Styles though. See how that goes.
Oh, it's going to be so great.
Yeah. But yeah, that concludes the program for today of the Mark Mania Club podcast. Of course, there's a lot to cover. But yeah, this past week, just covering everything we could. But now going forward, a lot of excitement, Backlash to look forward to. Gunther off television, as well as Roman and Seth. Going to be interesting. We'll cover that in another episode because we definitely got to see where their careers are going to go forward from WrestleMania. Because WrestleMania 40, I think, was a pivotal point for those three, especially. So see where that goes. Of course, you can follow us on all the social medias. I'll be provided in the description below. I, of course, said in the beginning. Did you want to add anything, Thomas?
Nope. Eat your vegetables and stay in school.
Of course, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. Yeet, yeet. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Munchy Panda. Thomas out here. We out.
Peace.